Good morning from the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Welcome to Kenya's premier Sunday morning political broadcast. This is Inside Politics here on KTN News. I am Ben Kitili. This Sunday, trouble in paradise. President Uhuru Kenyatta finds himself in political no man's land in a power struggle that has derailed the County Allocation of Revenue Act and now threatens Kenyatta's unity pact with ODM leader Raila Odinga. The Jubilee Party is now seemingly blackmailing the minority side to help pass the third basis for revenue allocation, or else the Building Bridges Initiative train will be crushed. And Tuesday is the D-Day. Meanwhile, Nairobians cannot catch a break as a leadership row between Governor Mike Sonko and Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General, Major General Mohammed Badi continues. The governor says he has had enough of being sabotaged and is pulling the plug on the transfer of functions effected in February this year. Can he do that? Should he do that? We have the lowdown for you. At the same time, there has been another battle at City Hall, this time pitting Nairobi Speaker Beatrice Elachi and County Clerk Jacob Ngwele. What does that have to do with the control for Nairobi? We'll seek to answer that question for you. Sit back for the next 120 minutes and let's dissect the biggest political and policy issues for you. Stand by to call in studio with your views, comments and questions at the tail end of the show. Your call will be the last word. I have with me in studio political strategist Kipchumba Karori, as well as MCA for Waithaka, that is Anthony Kirago. We also have with us communication strategist Mark Bichachi, of course joining us live from his home. We also have with us the governor's spokesperson Ben Muller to help us dissect these issues for you. We also have political risk analyst Dismas Mokua standing by to help us put perspective in some of these issues. Many thanks for joining me, gentlemen. We shall be coming to you shortly. Let's get into it. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has threatened to formally reclaim the running of the city-county. Sonko announced the withdrawal from the deed of transfer that saw 4 key functions of the county government transferred to the national government. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Mohammed Badi, on the other hand, has steered clear of Nairobi politics, saying he's not a politician but a military man trying to serve Kenyans. It's KTN's Nicholas Wambua with the details for us.
The supremacy battle between Governor Mike Sonko and Nairobi Metropolitan Services Chief Mohammed Badi is taking a new shape with every passing day. Sonko has today said that the transfer of 4 functions to the national government under the Nairobi Metropolitan Services was illegal and outrightly unconstitutional. Sonko, through his lead counsel Harrison Kinyanjui, now says in the 5 months the NMS has been operational, he has been enduring frustrations, mistreatment and unending insults.
There was no time afforded to His Excellency the Nairobi City County Governor to read this document or seek legal consultations thereupon prior to executing it.
The flexing of muscles by the two sides came after NMS Director General Mohammed Badi took over the governor's residence in Lavington, a move that did not sit well with the governor Mike Sonko.
He has notified the national government and all the relevant parties that the said deed of transfer has reached its zenith, its end point.
Some county assembly members have accused the Major General of engaging in city politics instead of concentrating on the 4 functions placed under his watch. But Badi says politics is not his portion.
So I don't engage in politics. One of the core values of KDF is to be apolitical, not to interfere with politics.
Sonko has now threatened to formally reclaim the running of city-county and announced withdrawing from the deed of transfer that saw 4 functions of the county government transferred to the national government, which he now equates to militarization of the county.
All those officers deployed from the military that are manning the NMS are doing so in violation of the law and in naked violation of this particular provision of the Constitution.
When I'm given a task, I fulfill it without thinking of what hurdles comes in my way.
Meanwhile, the infighting between the two continued as the Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Beatrice Elachi swore into office Edward Gishana as the new County Assembly Clerk.
Edward Gichana Ombori.
These happened just a day after some county assembly members sought to reinstate the former clerk Jacob Ngwele.
He's no longer the clerk. He has no orders to hold to say he's the clerk of Nairobi County Assembly.
I will work closely with you to form a formidable team so that we are able to help members of the County Assembly discharge their function.
Elachi has, however, banned all physical meetings at the County Assembly, saying every meeting will be conducted virtually. Nicholas Wambua, KTN News, Nairobi.
All right, let's get into it. Let me begin with you, Kipchumba. A lot of balls are in the air concerning City County of Nairobi. A lot has happened since February when that deed of transfer was signed, transferring 4 key functions, key among them, that of collection of revenue. Now, there has obviously been blood between the governor and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Mohammed Badi. Now, the governor is pulling the plug on the deed of transfer that the running of Nairobi by NMS has been described as a violation of the Constitution. What is your analysis of that situation for Nairobi at this juncture?
Thank you, Ben. As we have said before in this show, that there is a lot of danger when constitutional institutions, the people at the helm of these institutions, mix friendship and their constitutional roles. When we read and listen to Mike Sonko, he comes across as saying, I was not given enough time to read and internalize this thing. But be it as it may, the deed of transfer has happened. We have NMS in place. And the legal ramifications of doing things outside the law has its effects here, because one, there was not, the governor, from where I sit, was not given sufficient time to internalize whatever the import of that deed of transfer. Two, the role of the county management committee was also not taken into consideration. And thirdly, Ben, the assembly, the county assembly of the Nairobi city came late in the day. And then you remember there was a lot of push and pull for the public participation to be done. So I believe the problems that came in between that ought to have been rectified at signing stage is what we are witnessing. And the other thing also is that we have to say it here, Ben, that Senate has failed devolution. Senate, when you read the chapter 11 of our Constitution, ought to be the guardian angel of devolution. But what they are doing, Senate has joined the spectators. Senators are on Twitter complaining instead of being in Senate, trying to make sure that devolution gets the right footing. There is nowhere, Ben, as I finish, that the Constitution has allowed a latitude when a county government cannot perform a certain function. The Constitution has allowed the county government and the national government through the Intergovernmental Act on how the same will be done, and the County Government Act. But was it done? The goose is outside there.
So we're here anyway, and we'll get into the Senate in a short while. Mheshimiwa Kirago, let me bring you into the conversation. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while. What is your view from the County Assembly on this matter?
Number one, I like the fact that the General has repeatedly said that he's not a politician. He's not going to work like a politician, but we need to ask ourselves what are the characteristics of a politician. A very media-friendly person doing his work is gravitating towards politics. And when I look at NMS, I believe the president had very good intentions for Nairobi. The intentions of the president is to see that those 4 functions are delivered without a hitch. And we, as the County Assembly, promised the president that we are going to give him 150% support, which we are. However, I was watching a documentary the other day about what they have achieved in the last 100 days. And to be very honest, I'm shocked. I was actually shocked to see what NMS is calling their achievements. I saw them showcasing markets which were done by the county executive, headed by His Excellency the Governor. I saw them showcasing hospitals, which were done by the executive. I saw them showcasing the paving of walkways in Nairobi, which were actually live contracts that were ongoing. I think the first thing to make NMS work, the first thing for them to get the public trust and to move on is to be honest. Is to be honest, and like they say in Kiswahili, Mgala muue, lakini haki yake mpe. What we have seen the Director General doing is actually castigating and almost belittling the Nairobi governor and trying to dare him and tell him that we don't care, we will continue with our work irrespective.
All right.
Yeah.
Mark Bichachi, talk to us through this latest, show of might or supremacy battle between the two key, facets of Nairobi County in the last few days.
Ben, it is quite hard to Sonko seriously when his first statement is to say that he signed a contract when he was drunk. Now, that statement alone should worry every Kenyan. Then that's an admission that we have a governor who make decisions, serious decisions in this county. Secondly, do not just judge matters on matters procedure. We judge it on the balance of what they do for the country. Now, if Sonko was that NMS Nairobi, then let's have that conversation. But if he is saying he feels sidelined as a person of duties that he willfully handed over, and we've seen him in video clips even before, saying the national government to take these things over, and he cannot come back to complain simply because he feels like he's losing political clout, because that's what it is about. It is no matter in terms of service delivery to the people that the MCAs or governors is on record as saying that this is where the NMS has failed the people of Nairobi. So on that alone, this are quite uncalled for. Let's take it a bit further. There was public participation. There was approval by the county. There was a process done, whether it was the signature or after, it doesn't matter, because the process was then eventually done. We are going to pull out of mess. Then let the people also give their opinion. Let the people also have their say, and the county assembly also have their say.
All right.
For us to allow that he had while he was sober and conscious. And if he that indeed he was nearly catatonic under the influence of his Hennessy, then we should also put pitching a gunner who dares to make decisions when he's drunk. Either way, so should be sunk on this.
All right. We seem to be having trouble with Mike's audio there, but let me bring in Ben Muller, the governor's spokesperson. Ben, thank you for joining us. Talk to us about the governor's thoughts as he is pulling the plug on the transfer of functions that he signed over to the national government.
Well, thank you, Ben, for having me here this morning. And I usually get entertained when I listen to somebody like Mark Bichachi speaking. You know, the law of contracts is extremely clear. You normally get into a contract whereby each party is expected to meet certain obligations. And at the end of that kind of a contractual engagement, each party is also expected to derive some sort of satisfaction or benefit in terms of the implementation. The minute you feel dissatisfied with any contractual engagement, even a marriage, there is always a provision, and a clear provision whereby you can easily terminate that. Governor Sonko, you remember last year, made an appeal to President Uhuru Kenyatta to get support in certain areas. And this was informed by the fact that Nairobi, as a county government,
right,
the governor had already mapped out areas that he needed mega investment. Nairobi has been run down for a very long time, and in under 3 years, Governor Sonko outperformed any leader who has ever sat at City Hall since 1963. But he felt, for example, you remember we have been experiencing the long rains. He realized, like, just to fix the road infrastructure alone in Nairobi, we require between 50 and 100 billion shillings alone. Nairobi is allocated 15 billion shillings by the national government. Nairobi collects another about 10 billion shillings per year. That kind of investment investment is not sufficient for him to be able to realize his mandate. So his commitment or his belief was that this kind of a partnership was really going to escalate investment into Nairobi and enable him not only realize his vision when he sought office, but also the bigger agenda that the president has for this country. Unfortunately, since March 18th, when this deed of transfer became effective, Governor Sonko has continued to witness individuals within the national government who have zero regard for the rule of law, who have zero manners in terms of ensuring that there is decency in engagement between the new outfit, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and the county government. And the deed is extremely clear that there must be a constant engagement between the two levels to ensure that there is success in the implementation. Governor Sonko has continued to highlight illegalities that have been committed since March 18th. And none of this has been addressed this far. Justice Wasilo was extremely clear in a ruling on June 18th that there are certain things that were committed legally or were done illegally that need to be addressed. So the governor feels at this stage, instead of sitting there and waiting until a time whereby he may even be required to go to jail, or where he may be required to answer to questions that he cannot extract the answers, it is better that we terminate this deed of transfer. And it is better that the Nairobi City County government, which still remains established under Article 176 of the Constitution of Kenya, continues with its operations. Within the little resources that he still has the capacity to fulfill his mandate.
Allow me to ask you this.
Maybe to correct you on that. Actually, Ben, this is not a threat that the governor issued. He has officially initiated the process of terminating this deed of transfer.
Okay.
Yes.
Allow me to ask you this, Ben. At what point did the governor realize that perhaps this was a mistake?
No, as I've indicated, actually, you remember even on the March 18th, the president, in his address when the NMS was created, made it clear that that marked the beginning of a partnership and a collaboration between the national government and the county government of Nairobi for purposes of improvement of service delivery to the people of Nairobi. Then illegality started immediately. There was the illegal transfer of county employees to the national government without following due procedure. There was the issue of opening of bank accounts by the Kenya Revenue Authority without following the laid-down procedure by the Public Finance Management Act. There has been the issue of budget allocations, which, and I wish also to back up what Kipchumba was saying. You realize that the Senate has failed in its role in terms of enabling or creating legislation that would guide the implementation of Article 187 of the Constitution. And the governor, for all these months, the NMS has been doing its things, even sidelining engagement with the county government, contrary to the provisions of the deed of transfer. And the governor feels it is not necessary to continue appearing, because now we have wasted a whole 5 months where there is a lot of back and forth. Yet before then, the Nairobi City County government was running smoothly. So it is best this engagement is terminated so that Nairobians can continue benefiting from good governance.
Let me bring in political risk analyst Dismas Mokwa. Dismas, welcome to this conversation. Is Sonko right to pull the plug on the transfer functions he signed over to the national government, do you think?
Well, you know, it's very clear that Sonko is the governor for Nairobi, and he has very specific obligations on what he's supposed to be doing and delivering. However, at the end of the day, what do Nairobi residents are looking forward to? They want service delivery. And majority of Nairobi residents do not really care who delivers the service, whether it's NMS, whether it's Governor Sonko. They just want service delivery. The citizens in Nairobi are sick and tired of all this drama. And if Governor Sonko, for some reason, believes that he is not getting a fair deal, then he's got all the rights to pull out of these contracts. But as it stands right now, it's going to be a giant task for him. Probability of him pulling out successfully is almost zero. But meanwhile, as he continues with his catfights with NMS, the Nairobi residents are suffering. And at this stage, Kenyans need to start asking themselves that when they go for an election, what exactly are they doing for? Are they going to fall victim to promises made by politicians who, after taking office, they fail to deliver? Because believe you me, for residents of River Road, businessmen in Nairobi, at this stage, really, they do not care whether it's General Badi who is delivering, whether it's Sonko who is delivering. They just want service delivery. There is a concept called substance over form. So right now, Nairobi residents are interested in substance. And it's very amusing, almost entertaining, as Ben Muller has indicated about Mark Bichache. But this goes to Governor Sonko, who says that he signed these contracts. He transferred his responsibilities under the influence of an alcoholic beverage. That raises fundamental questions. How many more decisions has he made under the influence of alcoholic beverages? And are those decisions consistent with best practices and what Nairobi residents expect? Because we know for a fact that under the influence of alcoholic beverages, probability of taking a very solid decision is almost zero. So maybe that explains the reason as to why Nairobi is in trouble. Because the mandate he was given, when you look at the manifesto and the promises made by President Kenyatta and his deputy Samoei Ruto, was that Nairobi was going to be run in a very solid way to serve the interest of everybody. But at this stage, it's very clear that that has not happened. And lastly, Ben, we are where we are today for several reasons. Number one, the Senate has failed on its responsibility. The Nairobi County Assembly failed on its responsibility. The Nairobi County Executive failed on its responsibility. And also the Nairobi Governor failed on his responsibility. So when NMS comes in with a general body, they're actually coming to fight a fire. And the general body should be given unlimited support to fight this fire. And he has indicated he's not a politician. He's still serving in the military, so he's following orders from his commander-in-chief. Now, if during his service is consistent with the expectations of the Nairobi residents and Kenya in general, he deserves the support from Governor Sonko, he deserves the support from the Senate, as well as the Nairobi MCAs. Right now, we shouldn't be running around small circles asking ourselves, who is taking the decision? We just want the decisions taken which serve the interests of Nairobi.
At the same time, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General, Major General Mohammed Badi, wants Nairobi residents to decide if the authority should be disbanded or continue serving the city. While he said this while receiving clothes and face masks meant for street children from the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. But he said since NMS is part of the national government, its disbandment will not affect service delivery.
NMS is part of national government. In fact, our office is part of the office of the president. So the national government is there to serve all Kenyans. So we as national government will continue with our objectives unhindered to ensure that service delivery reaches every citizen. When the devolution came, the work was divided between national government and county government. So I believe whether it's county government or national government, service delivery is very essential to the people. So whether we are in existence or not, service delivery will still continue. Remember that we are part of national government and we have a duty and obligation to serve the people. Very proud of it. It has been a model, and I'm sure Wananchi will judge for themselves.
Mheshimiwa Kirago, let me come to you. The Sonko is of the idea that the 5 months that Nairobi has been under the leadership of NMS, it has been a wasted 5 months. Do you agree?
I sort of agree with him, and I would like first of all to respond to what Badi is saying. He's saying that the Nairobians should decide, and I want to remind him that the people of Nairobi decided on the 8th of August 2017. If he wants the people of Nairobi to decide again, 2022 is coming, and he will ask the same questions. I believe even the Constitution, even the drafters of the Constitution, when they foresaw the issue of transfer of functions, it was very clear, and it is still very clear, that the mandate, the CEO of the county, is still the governor of Nairobi. It is not for them to decide. And when I look at what they are doing, it reminds me of NYS. It reminds me of NYS when they were cleaning Kibera. It reminds me of NYS when they were cleaning the city and the scandals that followed after that. And I want to remind them, and I wish they would, because when we went to State House, the president was very clear. You can see the passion for Nairobi in his eyes. I wish they can stick to that. I wish they can stick and stop doing this politics. It is very interesting that the Director General gravitating towards politics. I don't know why he's seeking validation from the public to do what they are doing. If all institutions, Kenya, Kura, all the hospitals were doing the same, it would be very unfair and very unfortunate for the people of Nairobi. He should focus on his mandate, and he should remember that is a product of the partnership between the national government and the county government. National government represented by the president and the county government represented by the governor. So he should know and he should focus on his bosses.
Kipchumba, very quickly, the legal aspects of this. Is it legal for let's just put it out there, is it legal for the governor to, pull the plug on this agreement? What next now?
I think, Ben, what the public should realize is that when two entities which have legal capacity to enter into a contract come together and put their minds down in writing, it means, and when you read Article 9.1 of the deed of transfer, it indeed gives an avenue for termination, that the two will deposit a mutual document terminating the same. And to say also is that a court of law can terminate that deed of transfer by finding out that either one party, there were issues that can vitiate the whole contract. But one thing that must be also realized, Ben, is that by allowing this deed of transfer to stand or by allowing it to collapse, there are various governance issues that have a direct implication on devolution. Why we went for devolution was the main agenda of devolution, or the main principle, is that funds follow functions. If today, and when you read the constitution in terms of taking back functions of the national government, when you take back functions to a national government, you take with it the funds. There is an inequality that is being orchestrated in Nairobi. All the funds, like for this financial year, 316 billion has been allocated to counties. Why on earth will you allocate extra money to NMS? Which means Nairobi County is getting more money than other counties. Now, to extrapolate the issue, if today Kakamega County or Turkana County was to forward back or to return back their duties, let's say the issue of health or the issue of collecting revenue, does it to mean that these two counties will get an extra allocation away from whatever it has gotten? And my final point is this, Ben. There is also an issue that is not up to the law. The issue that all the money that NMS is getting is supposed to be a charge on the county revenue fund. It is not supposed to come from any other place. And when you read Chapter 11 and you read the County Government Act and you read in relation to the Intergovernmental Act, you realize that when functions are given back to national government, those functions will remain oversighted by the county assembly, for the simple fact that the county assembly is the one passing the budget. Only that the functions that have been given away will receive the money that has been budgeted for those heads, because all these functions have been costed. So that is where the problem is. And in the future, a scandal will arise, because how does NMS carry these functions? Is NMS recognized by the Public Finance Management Act? I don't think. And the other thing also is this: who oversights NMS? Is it the National Assembly or the County Assembly? And the National Assembly does not have any role in oversighting county assemblies, because the role of oversighting county assemblies lies with the County Assembly or the National Senate. So in between, in the lacuna, Kenyans might lose money. In between, we might lose the spirit of devolution.
You're watching Inside Politics here on KTN News. Time for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we are putting a special focus on the county 047, the county of Nairobi. We shall be finalizing on the issue of the battle for Nairobi, as well as talking about City Hall wars between Speaker Beatrice Elachi and the county clerk, Jacob Ngwele. What gives? Stay with us.
I think I'm the one that is rendering legitimacy, are absolutely out of their minds. Quote me, they are absolutely out of their minds. Ambassadors come here, they present credentials to President Nkurunziza. The Security Council resolutions recognize him as the president of this country. So what is this foolishness? We are spending a lot of time talking about an event that is all over. The communique says we should emphasize on creating conditions that will make such confusion obsolete come 2020. That will produce conditions of an election in 2020 which will be free, fair, and credible. You can't deny the people of Burundi, all the people, the right to review their history, to review their present position, to review their present institutions, even to review the constitution. But what you want to do is to make sure that it is comprehensive and inclusive. That's all.
This is KTN News.